Hey everybody, I hope that you are doing all right on this. Well, for me, it's evening. If you are tuning into this on YouTube, this was originally shot. I am live on Facebook. If you're not familiar with the Christ Yoga and You Facebook group, I would invite you to check that out. Come over and join that group, and also subscribe here so that you never miss anything. I do some unique content to each of those platforms, and every once in a while I share between them. So it's good to have a foot in both spaces if you want to connect with other kingdom yogis like you and me. This evening, I decided to bring my yoga outside on my front porch because there was a lovely storm earlier, and now it's cooled off, and there's just that pitter patter of light rain. And I'm not even sure it's raining anymore. It may just be, the water slowly moving across leaves and branches until it forms enough to fall. So you're just getting this pitter patter here and there. It's really soothing. I thought, what a great space to be in to have a soothing end of day practice. So that's what's going on right now. I have a passage I want to lift up for us to begin our practice. I just want to mention earlier in the Christ Yoga and You Facebook group, I shared a post on deepening your practice. And one of the things it suggested is, kind of getting outside of your element, literally going places you've never gone with your yoga. So doing something like getting outdoors, visiting a different studio, maybe going into a different type of venue than you've been before can kind of remake or deepen your practice. So put my money where my mouth is. I've come outside tonight and I'm doing some rainy night yoga. I have kind of a strange setup here. I'm sitting kind of cattywampus on the porch because it's wet on one end. I usually try to film side to side. We'll see how this works. I'm hoping this will capture the fullness of the practice for you, being at a slight angle. All right, well, with no more ado, let's go ahead and get into some yoga, friends. I'm going to light this candle right now, if I can. It's breezy here. Let me move it over here closer to the house. I'm going to light this candle as a sign of Christ's presence with us. Come on, candle. My lighter is really wimpy. There we go. Got to roll with what happens, right? Beauty of live TV, if you will, live video. Okay, this passage is from Romans 1:20, and it'll be immediately obvious after I read it why I'm doing it here. Ever since the creation of the world, his invisible nature, namely his eternal power and deity, has been clearly perceived in the things that have been made. So they are without excuse, for although they knew God, they did not honor him as God or give thanks to him, but became futile in their thinking, and their senseless minds were darkened. So let me frame this a little bit as something we can focus on in our practice. The beginning of that, the first couple verses of that, state that it's saying if all we had was creation, it says, ever since the creation of the world, his invisible nature, namely his eternal power and deity, has been clearly perceived in the things that have been made. If all we had was nature, it goes on to say, we would be without excuse for knowing God. We'd have no excuses because his divine nature, the very essence really of who God is, would be is available in what's been created. So we're without excuse. So it goes on to say, so though people knew God, they neither honored God or gave thanks. We're going to lift those up as meditative themes in our practice outdoors tonight, to where hopefully we're kind of experience God more in the raw by being out in his creation. So let's go ahead and start. And to begin, I want to invite you to take an easy seated position, whatever works best for you tonight. Simple cross-legged pose is fine. If your hips are tight and you need to extend a leg or both legs, or need to sit up on a block or blanket, please do so. Just get in a place where you can be both comfortable and have good posture. By good posture, I want to invite you to lift up through the spine nice and tall, almost like somebody had a string, pulling you up like a marionette. Chin might tuck in slightly to lengthen that neck and spine. Engage the abdomen a little bit, maybe draw it in slightly. And that will help also support your body. Nice upright position. Let's lift our shoulders up, draw them back, let them down with a nice exhale. Here we are in a really wonderful, calming, seated position. Let's close our eyes if that's comfortable for you, and begin to just observe the breath to get present. Pay attention to the sounds around you. If you can hear the pitter-patter of rain through the video, you can focus on that, or let your ears extend out into the immediate environment around you. Perhaps you can hear some cars outside in the distance, or maybe the hum of air conditioning or a heater, maybe some voices in a distant room in the house. Or maybe it's just very quiet. Now feel the environment around you. By that I mean notice the connection between you and your mat or the ground beneath you. Touch of your hands on your lap. The gentle touch of the air around you and your clothing. Really become present to your immediate environment. Maybe listen a little more deeply. What are you feeling right now as you come to your mat? Let's begin to match movement with breath and begin to warm the spine. I want to invite you to inhale and reach the arms up, circle sweeping them up, bringing the hands, palms together above the head as if you're taking hold of all God's promises. And let's draw those hands down through the center of the body on the exhale. Inhale, circle sweeping up. Exhale, coming down through center. Inhaling up. Exhaling down through center one more time. Now let's inhale up, and this time when you reach the top, instead of exhaling down through center, let's exhale out to the sides. Inhaling up. Exhaling out to the sides. Maybe feeling a little bit of warmth in the abdomen as we breathe in and out through the nose. And in yoga, begin to do what we call building heat. On our next exhale, let's twist to the right, placing the left hand on the outside of the body, the right hand behind you, and then turn the gaze as if you're looking back over the right shoulder. On inhales, lengthen up through the crown. Breathe space. Breathe as if you're drawing space in between the vertebrae so that you can sit up nice and tall. On the exhale, soften into the twist. One more breath here. And let's inhale back to center. Take a breath here. Let's inhale those hands up. Exhale, turn to the left now. Really listen to your breath. I'll make suggestions all along the way as to poses we're taking, but you really need to listen to your breath and your body. They are your best teachers. One more breath here. Sinking into the twist on the exhale. Inhale, let's unwind back to center. We're going to borrow a pose from Yin Yoga, square pose. And to do square pose, what I want you to do is extend your legs out to where the shins are, in as much as you can, parallel with the edge of your mat. Then we're going to draw the knees toward one another. Try not to let the feet come in too much. They're going to a little bit because they're overlapping. And ideally those legs would then be parallel with one another, hence the word square is the name of this pose. So you might have to adjust a little bit. And if you need to leave your feet in some because that's just too much on your legs, that's okay. So try to get the feet out past the knees if your body allows for that. And then sit up nice and tall. We're going to hinge from the hips, walk slightly forward. And you kind of find that edge for you of the range of motion of the fold. You can go ahead and let gravity take over and draw the head forward and the shoulders forward. But don't push it, just let the body, let gravity do the work. We're going to stay here about a minute or so. If at any time you need to come out, do so, but I would encourage you, if you can, if you start to get uncomfortable, first see if you can't regulate your breath and become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And you never want to push until you're in pain. It's really not even about pushing. I'm not asking you to push your endurance here per se, but rather instead kind of quietly observe and accept the pose. And you might even just vocally kind of in your mind say discomfort. Just acknowledge it and let go of it and return to your breath. Try to slow the breath, ease the breath in and out through the nose. And oftentimes you can find you can stay in the pose and become comfortable with being uncomfortable. I find this also builds a tremendous amount of just emotional resilience beyond the mat. If you're holding any tension in the face or the shoulders, just relax and let go of those things. Particularly doing that on exhale seems beneficial. Just a few more moments here. Let's take 2 more deep breaths. On an inhale, walk yourself back up. We're going to change the cross of the legs now. So you're going crisscross applesauce, as we used to say when I was kids. Then we're going to open that X up a little bit so that the shins are moving toward parallel with the edge of the mat. And then we're going to edge the knees together and the feet out beyond the knees to create a square. And again, sit up nice and tall, hinging at the hips, soften forward. And when you get to the end of your range of motion there, exhale and let gravity catch you as you drift forward and down. You may periodically throughout holding the pose want to edge forward, sink forward a little bit more. As we're bowed forward, I want you to pause for a moment and consider, what does it mean for you to honor God? That passage said that people fail to honor God or give thanks. What would it mean for you to bow before the Lord, to honor God in your life right now? Is there some place you're not honoring God? And what would it mean for you to honor God? Let's take 2 more breaths here. And then on an inhale, walk the body back up. Let's unlace the legs. Let's bring them out directly in front of us. Maybe stretch the feet forward, flex them forward and back. I'm inhaling and drawing back, exhaling, pointing forward. Some nice slow circles with the ankles and the feet. Sit up nice and tall. Reverse that. Forward and back a couple more times. And I want you to bring the feet into a butterfly position. We're not going to do butterfly. I'm just kind of preparing us for another pose. You want a bit of a diamond shape here to where the legs are almost at right angles to one another. So the feet are kind of far out. They're not drawn in real tight. They're kind of far out. And then lean over to the left and bring the right leg over to the side. It's at about a right angle. And again, we're going to borrow a pose from Yin. Yin's new to me. So if you're watching this and you've done a lot of Yin and you go, you know what, you really need to tweak that pose, I will not be bothered by that. I would welcome your feedback. So we're sitting up nice and tall, supporting yourself in as much as you can, centering the body above the hips. This is a little tight on the knees. You could adjust the feet some slightly. Just sit up here for a moment. Sometimes it's so easy to get so lost in our bodies that we lose sight of what's going on around us. Maybe extend your awareness back out again to the surroundings around you. You know, we can do that in our life. We get kind of hyper-focused and fail to see where God's at work around us. It's good to lift our eyes up and scan the landscape, so to speak. Let our ears reach out. And we're going to stay here about 10 more seconds or so. All right, you can go ahead and lean back and lift that knee up. Bring that foot around to center for a moment. Maybe shake that leg out a little bit. Draw it back in. Form our diamond to prep for the other side. Turn that left leg back. You may find one side is much tighter than the other. I find this side, for me, it's a whole nother game. But try as much as I can to match one side to the other and create symmetry and balance in the body. I'm going to stay here for a little over a minute. Now, if at any time you're in a pose like this, it becomes too intense, feel free to back out of that pose. Give yourself a little break, a little breather, and then gently bring yourself back in. Or just back it off just a nudge and hold it just a half step from where you are. Be gentle with your body. Over time, consistent practice, the body will become accustomed and it will open up. I think a lot of times it's not so much about stretching as it is about relaxing and accepting. And we'll give this about 10-15 more seconds. All right, you can drop over to the side a little bit, bring that leg around, bring both feet out in front of you, give them a little gentle shake. Sit up nice and tall. Let's just draw the knees in and wrap the arms around the knees. Give yourself a hug here, if you will. Just hug the knees in. Essentially, it's like we're doing a seated child pose. We'll stay here for a minute or so, relaxing the lower back, relaxing the face muscles, letting the shoulders release down. Slowing the breath. Just being present. We're going to take about 3 or 4 more breaths here. go ahead and release the arms. Drop the knees down for a moment. Sit up nice and tall here for just a sec. Take a couple cleansing breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. I invite you to extend your left leg out to the side, roughly a 45-degree angle to the body. Bring the right foot in to the inside of the left leg, and we're going to give a little lateral stretch for the back. Take your left arm, let it slide out along the left leg and reach up and over with the right arm, and you can look up if that's available to you. Breathe here. You can just let the hand rest on the shin, or if you want to hook your fingers onto the toe or the hand. Some of you may have enough range of motion where you can actually reach over and grab that foot. If you're really tight and this is difficult and you want to bring some bend into that left knee, feel free to do that. Try not to let that arm drape over. Try not to get sort of lazy in the pose, but let that arm, that right shoulder be drawn back, really opening the chest, while simultaneously bringing some curvature to that spine to the left. Let's do 2 more breaths here. And we can inhale up. Do a slight counter, and for our counter, I'm going to invite you to take the left hand out to the right side of the knee, bring up the right arm in like a goalpost or a cactus arm, and we're going to draw it back. I'm going to face you for a moment because my mic's over there. But you're going to draw it back and draw the shoulder back and look back over the shoulder, twist to the right. And you can release that on an exhale. Just bring the legs out in front of us for a moment. Take the right leg out to the side. Bring the left leg in. And we're going to go to the other side now. Don't be surprised if there are differences when you go from one side to the other. So the right hand is coming out toward the right foot. If it's up here clear at your knee, that's fine, as long as you don't want to be putting pressure ever on the knee. But you got to find what works for your range of motion. Draw the shoulder and arm back. If you have shoulder issues and having your arm up like this is difficult, I have a little bit of trouble with this shoulder. I'm giving it a little test range tonight. But you can always drop the hand to the lower back and just draw the shoulder back and the gaze up. 2 more breaths here. And let's inhale up, exhale, let those arms come down. Let's bring the legs in for a moment and crisscross them into easy seated position. That was a little tough on my shoulder. I'm recovering from something in that. So I'm just going to throw in a couple shoulder rolls here real quickly to relieve some of that. So inhale the shoulders up and back, and exhale, drop them down. Reverse direction. All right. Let's come down onto our backs on the mat. You can just look. I'm going to hold on to my knees or behind my knees and slowly walk toes back and lay down. Do one twist here for, well, actually before we do our twist, let's bring the feet in, have them about hips width apart, maybe a little bit further. Hands down to the mat, and we're going to do bridge pose. So I'm going to invite you to, on an inhale, curl the spine up, starting with the tailbone, bringing the hips up toward the ceiling, letting the knees come in slightly. I'm going to hold this for a bit. Feel free to flow in and out if that's better for your body tonight. One more breath here. And on the next exhale, lower down one vertebra at a time. Just draw those knees in. Exhale, bring the feet down. And we're going to take the right knee over the left leg, and we're gonna, and you might need to shift the hips over a little bit. It's all right. We're gonna let the legs drop to the left. The arms can come out to the side. And if you want, you can gaze over the right hand. If this is too intense, having the legs cross, you can always just let the knees drop to one side. You can put both feet on the ground, let the knees drop to one side. I would not force it. I would just let gravity do the work. Now, there are times where I do really push a twist like this. But at the end of the day, when I'm just trying to wind down and let my energy kind of get into a cool or a yin, what we might call a yin state, I don't push much of anything. I just let the pose be what the pose wants and needs to be at that moment. As we lay here in a twist, I want you to think about how In order, we talked about honoring God. What would it mean to honor God? Sometimes that means we need to allow our will to flex or to bend or move in a way that we wouldn't just naturally choose to do. Like, we never just naturally wind up in a twist like this. But it's so beneficial for us to do this, and it's so detoxifying. I think in the same way, yielding to the Lord, recognizing what it means to honor God right now, even if it means bringing us outside of our comfort zone, kind of moving into a position we're not used to or naturally would do, that can be an incredibly restorative thing in terms of our honoring of God, our submission to God, our surrender to God. Let's take about 3 more breaths here. With each exhale, see if you can't just sink a little deeper. All right, let's inhale up. And let the feet come down to the mat. Bring the hips back over to the center if you need to. You're going to go ahead and cross that right leg over left. And adjust the hips if you need to. I'm going to shift mine to the right a little bit. To the left a little bit. Then let the knees drop to the right and the gaze to the left. As we wrap up our practice, we've talked some about honoring God. What do you need to be thankful for right now, or what are you thankful for right now? It would be a good thing to lift up to the Lord, to just say, thank you for your many blessings. I'm thankful for getting to practice with you. I'm thankful for the coolness of the air, the night air, and the loveliness of this practice together. The little surprises of nature, because I'm practicing outside. A moment ago, I heard the chitter chatter of a bird, though it's nearly, I don't know, it's probably about 11:30 now as I'm recording this. Strange time for a bird, but it's spring, and it was, I know the voice, it's some kind of fledgling, some little bitty baby bird that's making some noise that, is out of sync with the norms, the rhythms of the day. Like a baby waking up in the night. Let's take 3 more breaths here. And on your next inhale, let's draw that knee up. And you can exhale and kind of unfold those legs. Draw the hips back to center. Let's draw those knees in one last time. We rock back and forth a little bit, massaging that lower back. Lazy circles. Really hitting all nooks and crannies of the back. And reverse direction. And when you're ready, you can let those feet down to the mat. Take the right leg, lift it up and extend it out to the end of the mat and release it with an exhale. Lift that left leg up, extend it out, and release it into the mat as well with an exhale. Do the same with the right arm. Lift it up nice and high, exhale, let it slowly come down to the mat, out from the body, palm facing up, fingers naturally curled. Inhale that left arm up, exhale, slowly let it just drift down to the mat. Then exhale. We're going to take 3 deep cleansing breaths where we'll inhale through the nose and exhale audibly with a sigh. And as we do so, let every muscle of the body kind of sigh with you, so it can just relax. So a nice deep inhale through the nose. Exhale. Again, inhale through the nose. One last cleansing breath. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth. Allow us to lie here for a few moments or invite you to stay in Shavasana for at least a couple minutes. You are welcome to continue into Shavasana for much longer if you would like. I actually encourage people to spend about 5 minutes of Shavasana for every 30 minutes or so of yoga. Not going to quite run that long this evening, but again, you're welcome. It's a video, you can pause it. It'll take as long as you'd like. invite you when you feel ready to do so to maybe wiggle your fingers and toes to bring back some movement and motion to the body. Reach the arms up nice and long overhead. Lengthen the feet out and do a long stretch. It's like you're being stretched in both directions at once. Lift the knees up slightly and roll over onto one side. Let your head rest for a moment on your arm in seed pose. This is a pose that is symbolic of new life. I hope you've been renewed by our practice together. And when you feel ready, go ahead and very mindfully push yourself up to an easy seated position where we began. Sit up nice and tall. We'll inhale, bring the hands up overhead to prayer as if we were taking hold of all God's blessings. Draw them down. Pause at the forehead. May God renew your mind through His Word, that you might know His good and perfect will. Bring the hands down to the lips and pause. May God fill your mouth with words of encouragement and good news. And lastly, bring the hands to heart center. May God give you a purity of heart, a yearning to follow Him in all that you do, so that in mind, body, and spirit, you love Him to the best of your abilities. Friends, I close with a word that is old and familiar to yoga. In India, it's a greeting. It's a way of saying hello, but it can have a lot of different interpretations. And my favorite probably is that the light and the life in me honors the light and life in you, because as kingdom yogis, as brothers and sisters in Christ, I feel like when we meet on our mats, it's an opportunity for the Christ in me to see the Christ in you, because that is our life and our light. Namaste. Hey, again, thank you for practicing with me. And like I said earlier, if you're watching this on YouTube, this was originally filmed as a live in our Facebook group, Christ Yoga and You. Just search for us over there and ask to join. I'll let you in, and I look forward to seeing you there. Blessings until we meet again. Live fit, faithful, epic life for the Lord. Bye now. Hey, I just wanted to take a moment and thank you for practicing with me today. I always love connecting with more Christian yogis. There's actually probably a lot more out there than you realize. If you want to connect with us in a more personal way, go over to a Facebook group, Christ Yoga and You. Just search for it. I'll let you in there. It would be awesome to meet you. If you want to get more support in doing yoga daily, I put together a guide that breaks down like just 7 steps to keeping up a consistent practice. I've got over 1,600 days, so I can tell you from experience that it works. Again, thanks so much for being here, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. Until then, I would encourage you to live a fit, a faithful, a really epic life for the Lord, my fellow Kingdom Yogi. I'll see you again soon. Blessings.